See, Jay-Z and Jungle go way back, almost before Nas. Jungle was in the streets and knew some of the people that knew Jay. He was a youngin' in the streets, wild. So when Jay was rhyming and hustling and doing all that, Jungle knew about it. And they was just some little dudes in the game. And Jay was making his moves, but they never really crossed paths like that on a negative note. They knew a couple of kids that did a couple of things, and one of the dudes got into it with Jay-Z's sister. One of Jay-Z's sister's boyfriends or whatever, they had a little discrepancy, and he was one of the little cats that they grabbed up. And, the boyfriend, kind of put them in check. And he was just a little shorty then, and he ain't had nothing to do with it. He was like, look, that's them, but, I ain't scared, bruh. Like I ain't Jungle was no punk. So dude respected him for that. He remembered him. He was like, yo, this shorty's somebody. And he was getting his stripes up, in the area. And he was way out of Queens. He was out of his area. So they moved to they was in the bridge for a while. But they had an aunt that wasn't too far from there, or the lady they call auntie. They used to hang out at her house a lot when they was younger. Nas and Jungle and a couple of the other dudes, they go up uptown a little bit. So anyhow, once Large Professor and all these other people uh, started to come into success, and people used to go everywhere. If you rap, you got to pass. If you want on no nonsense, a rapper, oh, okay, you got to pass. It was cool. So you was all good as long as you rap. And then Jungle was hanging with his man Stick, and both of them was up there in the area where Tata was, and Tata knew Jay and the boy Chaz. And all these guys, they all knew Jay-Z. He was rhyming in Large Professor at the time. They was talking about Jay and all that stuff. So when they all met up and seen each other and was like, oh yeah, I heard of you. He knew of Jungle, just knew of him. You was the guy, and Jay's the type that observe everything. And he was like, yo, when he found out like that's Nas's brother, he was, oh, they brothers? Okay. So they were all cool. They would see each other at parties, or when Nas go do something, he always had Jungle with him. He would take Jungle. So Nas, Jungle, his man, Killer Black, all them would be there. So these dudes came in one day and, at a party and was kicking it, and Jay and what's his name? They was actually super tight, and Memphis Bleak. Memphis Bleak came and he kind of linked up with uh with Jungle. So them two went and smoked, and they was kicking it and stuff, and he didn't really know. He peeped it, but he didn't really know what he was peeping. Jay creeped up on Carmen, on Nas' baby moms, and then that's when he was like, whoa, am I bugging? Because he was just smoking with Memphis Bleak. So he went up to Jay. Nas, like, did he just walk up to Calm? Like walked up to her like that? Like it was weird, and it was in the back of his mind, but he was smoking. So he's like, man, forget it. I'm tripping. So he hanging out with Memphis and all them. So they was all cool. They knew each other. And they, like I said, they used to kick it at this club called the Beacon. So a lot of them would be at the Beacon, hanging out, and some of them would go to Eugene's, and all these different clubs. Some of them would go to, and it was all love. But when you see people out there at the Beacon hanging out, normally it'll be all good and kicking it, and it's all love. But when Prodigy and Mobb Deep was kind of going at Jay, once Jay blew up, that's when all the fun stopped. When Volume 2 came out, Jay kind of changed, and the arrogance was starting to show. Like, I'm running rap right now, and I got the game, and now all that, I'm just one of the guys type thing, then stop. All like Jay wasn't going to the same places no more. After Volume 2, after he did the tour and had the success, now people was a little envious because Big wasn't there no more, and his moves was a little different. He was trying to make everybody feel the air, like I'm the king of New York, and it was just like putting himself in competition with Nas and trying to hurdle Nas, like I've just passed Nas, now I'm the man. And everybody like, dude, pace yourself, dude. You moving way too much with the arrogance in New York and acting like he was the one like holding down New York at the time when guys in the streets in New York, when it was hot with the West Coast, Jay was silent. And Jungle and Mobb Deep and Prodigy, they all hung out together. So they all knew, like, dude, like you wasn't that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like you was not that guy. When this whole ride was going down, you were nowhere to be found. You was a ghost town. So the attitudes was different. But when they saw each other, Memphis be, yo, what's up, Joe? It was all respect, when they saw each other. No matter what was going on with Prodigy, them, Jungle be like, I ain't gonna cause no waves. I'm cool with it. I'm out. And they'll see each other at the airport or whatever, wherever they might be. Because they was doing their thing and Jay and them was doing their part. So Jungle would, because he's more in the streets than Nas. When Nas got successful, he wasn't in the streets like Jungle was. Jungle was always hanging out in the streets and always in the clubs and the scenes and, doing him with his crew. So when he saw these dudes like Jay and his people, they would be out, they in the clubs. Nas ain't no real big club guy. So you weren't gonna see him in the scenes like you would see Jay. So when they saw him, they was like, look, it's John. I mean, Jay, they'll see each other, be respectful. So he would see Jungle more than he would see Nas. Because they would, Biff Lee could be somewhere, they kick it, they at the same spot. And he was like telling them, like, man, you tripping on your album, bro. You talking about you king of this, king of that. And Jay just be laughing. He was like, man, it's all rap. It's all records. It's all keeping on wax. That was his main thing. Let's just keep it on wax. When did I send that in? That's kind of crazy right there. Because I don't remember hitting the button to send that in. But okay. Sorry, I was looking at something else. Now, anyway, with this going on with as far as like all the things that's going on with Nas and all this stuff was building up, he was cool. They never had a real problem. So when you never had a real problem with somebody and that person never really had a problem with you, then you can go ahead and say, oh, such and such is this and such is that. But Jungle and him, it never really crossed paths on nothing negative. So during Summer Jam, when Jay decided to diss Prodigy and throw the Nas line in there, what's his name? He didn't even put the Nas verse in it yet. He was just like, ask Nas. He don't want it with Hov. So when he ran in the Jungle, it was at the airport. Jungle was just coming from somewhere. And he just saw Jay, and then Jay saw him through the corner of his eyes, and he didn't even say nothing. He just kept walking. But Jay saw him. He saw Jungle before Jungle even saw him. So Jungle turned and was like, hey, Jay. He's like, we got to get you back for that line, bro. We coming. We going to get you back for that line. He was like, all right. All right. Shoot, it's only on wax. It's all good. So he's like, all right, I'm going to be here. I'm checking for it. So that was the attitude. Then once the whole verse came out that had Nas on it, and you had the one when he dissed Nas, and then everybody was tripping on Jay and this and that, and everybody was laughing at Prodigy. It wasn't looking good for Queens. Then they were up in the club, everybody's pointing a finger, at Jungle, yeah, where your man Nas that he got played, man. And that's when Jungle was on for, man, FJ, man, they some hoes. All of them are hoes. So basically, the whole Meth Bleak thing was, he was cool with Bleak and Ty and all, Tata them, man, it was F them. We see them dudes, man, we'll mash them right now. And so Benny Siegels was, what? What? Huh? Mash who? Benny Siegel heard that, was like, man, I'll smash these little kids, man. Don't play. So Bleak was like, man, he was like, I would go to the Beacon, but I ain't going. That ain't never finna go down now. So he was staying out of certain spots, and Jay told him, like, look, it's gonna be crazy. This is kind of crazy now because dude back against the wall. And he had a person that was being paid at the time to be he wasn't signed to the label, but he was signed to Def Jam, was Cormega. He was the sabotager of the whole thing. And it was like, you cool with Mobb Deep, but this dude just dissed Prodigy and you cool with him. Because you hate Nas so much, you willing to go against your own boys. And he just helped finish, like, really damage Prodigy's career. And you over there helping. So he went ahead and was like, man, forget it. It's whatever. And right at that moment in time, that's when the situation happened where the fight happened at the Beacon. Like some crew members of Jay and some people from Queens that knew Nas got into it, and some dudes went to jail because of the fight. Some chick got hit and all this stuff. It was crazy stuff. Anyway, after that, things are going down, then Ether comes out. The Napalm Bomb. Because during this time, Prodigy and Nas ain't really cool with each other like that. And Jungle was still, rolling with them, and he had beef now on his heads based off some stuff that was going on with Prodigy and some other people. And Littles and all of them, they dissing Nas and got a problem with Nas, and you know, Mike DeLorean and all these dudes is getting involved, and it's going to be a problem, a real problem. So they got in-house fighting. So Nas is like, look, all this got to get taken care of. So the Build and Destroy record came out, and the Ether record came out, and people didn't know Nas was getting it on both sides, and basically scattered everybody out at the same time. So Jungle was right, like, look, he kicked it with Have them almost more than he kicked it with Prodigy. But what people didn't know is that even though Prodigy and Havoc they rapped together and all that, they really had some different circles that they ran under. Jungle ran more with Havoc people. They rode with Have more. They knew Havoc guys, this is Havoc people. They knew mostly with them. So when they moved, it was with their crew. P moved with them sometime, but he also had his own people that he moved with. And they were from all over the place. Some of them from Queens, some of them ain't. Half people was definitely from Queens. And they were some rugged people. And sometimes, things don't coincide with each other. I'm trying to be as delicate as possible with a lot of this stuff, please. And it gets around that once Ether come out and everything is going the way it is, it's no longer fun and games. Now Jay is mad, and people ready to fight each other. They ready to go to war in the streets over it. At first, Jay was like, "Look, I want to fight Nas. Any way you want to fight me, we could fight." Like, it was a problem. So while he getting ready to do Blueprint 2 and all this, Jungle saw Jay and them when they was coming out of the club, and he was yelling every type of word at Jay. Like, man, F that dude, man. F your boy. He ain't nothing. He's soft. Your boy's soft. Ether killed him. So Jungle's on the radio station going off with Nas like the next day. They had to go through a promo for the album Stillmatic coming out, and Jungle's on the radio station talking with Nas. And Jay and them listening to all of this. And they hear how Jungle's talking, like, yeah, I saw him at the airport, but they done, they shook, and all of this. And Jay was like, he came out with the Blueprint 2 record. And he was like, your little homie Jungle is like a garden to me. Because that's what he still look at Jungle as a little dude. So on the Braveheart album, they start coming out putting out Braveheart album. Jungle took a shot at Jay and 50 Cent. Called him Snitch CJ and call him, it's Jay-Z. Jungle lives by the code of the street, like Snitch CJ or that it's Jay-Z. So at that time, they was just throwing each other. He's like, oh, I'm throwing a diss back because he dissed me. Like, if he want to get it on, we can get it on. So they was like, all right, it's all good. And when everything went the way it did, they were like, well, what are we going to do? They was like, what do you mean? They was like, well, the beef is coming to an end. And when Nas and them got together to see each other, that's how long the beef was going on. Because at that time, right at the Beacon, one of they dudes got into it with who did they get into it with? Some people from Jay-Z crew. And a dude got shot this time in the Beacon. And it was over the Jay and Nas situation. And that's when a lot of people are like, hey, we gotta cut this out. This is getting out of hand. Trying to get this thing done. So years after that, when they came and they squashed the beef, they had the meeting to talk about it, and L.A. Reid had brought Nas in, and him and Jay and Jungle was with him. They just started laughing, man. Like couldn't believe the thing was even talked about. Like they even went this long beefing with each other, and it was like almost immediately everything was forgotten, forgiven, the whole nine. Nobody cared no more. Just that quick. Cause time, like they say, time heals all wounds. It's just that people moved in so many different directions at that time that it didn't even matter no more. Like it was just done. So when that was basically done, it was a wrap. Now a lot of stuff was kept out because we just can't talk about that. It'd be very entertaining to say, but we basically had to keep that quiet and out of the storyline. But other than that, pretty interesting information. And right now, Jungle and Jay Z are the coolest they've ever been in life. They are peaches and cream again. So this is just a history lesson. I'm out. It's your boy Carcino. Peace. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button, and follow the playlist, The Truth Behind Hip Hop Beats. I'm out. I might have it in the end too. So you can just click on it and then you have all of them. Deuces.